Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Bold and the Beautiful Wednesday, October 23 recap. Carter storms out on Steffy Will's ring on bended knee for Elektra. The Bold and the Beautiful B&B. Spoilers recap for Wednesday, October 23, reveals that Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline McKinswood, was wary of supporting the revived jewelry line, but Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, and Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, worked hard to pitch her on the idea. Steffy eventually asked Elektra Forrester, Linnea Grace, to leave the room, which gave her a chance to call Ivy out for being insulting. Since Ivy acted like Steffy was letting their personal history get in the way, Steffy insisted that wasn't the case. However, Carter felt that Ivy had a right to question Steffy's stance, since she had a habit of letting personal feelings get in the way of good business. In the end, Steffy refused to even look at the jewelry display that Ivy and Elektra had set up in the salon. After Steffy declared that her decision was final, she said she had other things to do. Once Ivy exited, Carter stood there glaring at Steffy before storming out. Carter apologized to Ivy and Elektra, but they knew he was doing his best. Ivy suggested they'd better clean up the display they'd set up and headed off to the salon soon after. In the design office, Hope Logan, Annika Noel, told Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, that he could have a target on his back since he was a Logan. Hope made a prediction about Will having to work twice as hard to prove himself to Steffy, but he wasn't worried. Even so, Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, thought Will should heed Hope's warning since there was indeed a Forrester-Logan feud at the company. Afterward, Will bumped into Elektra in the corridor, so she dropped a jewelry tray. Unapologetic, Will scrambled to pick things up, so he was on bended knee presenting a ring to Elektra as they locked eyes for the first time. Both Elektra and Will got flustered, but they eventually exchanged introductions and smiles. Once Elektra gave Will updates on the jewelry line pitch, he thought that was cool. Will also slipped the dropped ring on Elektra's finger as the chemistry crackled between them. When Brooke found Steffy in the CEO office, she could tell Steffy was distracted. Steffy admitted Carter had been a little off base and frankly flat out wrong lately, so Brooke assumed this was about Carter's support for Hope in her line. Back with Carter on Wednesday's B&B episode, he slammed in the design office and complained to Hope about Steffy shutting down the revived jewelry line. Steffy vetoed it without even giving it a glance, so Carter wanted to stop these petty personal agendas that had no place at Forrester Creations. Hope thought it was a brilliant idea to bring Ivy back to revive the jewelry line, but Carter suggested that was just the beginning of his vision. Carter wanted to bring a plethora of brands under the luxury umbrella and got Hope all hyped up about how successful Forrester could be. Hope insisted Carter needed to run with this, with or without Steffy. After Hope urged Carter to call a meeting, she pushed him to get Eric Forrester, John McCook, and Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, on board. Since Hope could hear the passion in Carter's voice, she said this was how he was going to leave his mark on the company and the industry as a whole. Once Hope expressed how much she believed in Carter and the future he was envisioning, they smiled sweetly at each other. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Carter's ambitious proposal will add to Steffy's fury soon, so stay tuned for all the bad news that's looming. On the October 23 episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, emotions ran high as tensions erupted between Carter Walton and Steffy Forrester, while Will Spencer made a bold move that left everyone stunned. Carter's patience runs thin. The episode opened with a tense scene at Forrester Creations. Carter Walton had just walked in on a heated discussion between Steffy and Ridge Forrester. Steffy, still reeling from her breakup with Finn, had been throwing herself into work with a relentless energy that was starting to concern her father. Ridge, protective as ever, was trying to convince Steffi to take a step back and focus on herself, but Steffi's stubbornness was in full force. Carter had been supportive of Steffi through her heartbreak, but today, something in the air felt different. His patience had been stretched thin in recent weeks, and the conversation between Steffi and Ridge pushed him to a breaking point. "You don't get it, Dad," Steffi snapped, her voice filled with frustration. "I need to stay busy. If I don't, all I can think about is what I've lost." "Steffi," Ridge said calmly, his eyes soft with concern, "you can't keep running from your feelings. You need time to heal." As the conversation grew more intense, Carter, who had been standing quietly in the background, suddenly stepped forward. "Steffi, he's right. You're burning yourself out," Carter said, his voice steady but edged with concern. "You've been through so much. Pushing yourself like this isn't going to fix anything." Steffi whipped around, her eyes flashing with anger. "You think I don't know that? You think I want to be in this position, Carter?" Carter took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "No, I don't. But you're not listening to anyone. You're just shutting everyone out." Steffi's frustration boiled over, and she snapped. "Maybe that's because no one understands what I'm going through. Everyone thinks they know what's best for me, but they don't." Ridge, sensing that things were escalating, tried to intervene, but it was too late. Carter's frustration finally surfaced, and for the first time, he let his true feelings show. "You're right, Steffi. I don't understand what you're going through," Carter said, his voice rising. "But that's because you won't let anyone in. You push everyone away, and then you wonder why you feel alone." Steffi stared at him, shocked by the intensity of his words. Carter had always been calm, collected, the rock she could lean on. But now he was clearly fed up, and it hit her like a ton of bricks. "Carter, Steffi started, but he cut her off. "No, Steffi, I'm done," he said, shaking his head in frustration. "I've been here for you, trying to support you, but you keep shutting me out. I can't keep doing this." With that, Carter stormed out of the office, leaving Steffi standing there in stunned silence. Rich looked on, his expression unreadable, but there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. He knew this was a breaking point for Steffi, and he wasn't sure how she would handle it. Will's grand gesture. Meanwhile, over at Spencer Publications, a different kind of drama was unfolding. Will Spencer, now a confident young man, had been seeing Electra, a beautiful and intelligent woman who had quickly captured his heart. Their relationship had grown serious in recent months, and it seemed like Will was ready to take things to the next level. As Will prepared to meet Electra for lunch at Il Giardino, he couldn't shake the nerves fluttering in his stomach. Today was the day he had decided to propose. The ring burned a hole in his pocket as he rehearsed his speech in his head over and over again. When Electra arrived at the restaurant, she looked radiant as always. Her long dark hair shimmered in the sunlight, and her smile lit up the room. Will's heart raced as she approached their table, completely unaware of what was about to happen. "Hey you," Electra greeted him warmly, leaning in for a kiss. "You look nervous. Everything okay?" Will chuckled nervously, running a hand through his hair. Yeah, I'm fine. Just excited to see you." They ordered their meals, and the conversation flowed easily, as it always did between them. But as the lunch progressed, Will grew more anxious. He kept glancing at the ring box in his pocket, waiting for the right moment. Finally, as they finished their meal, Will couldn't wait any longer. He took a deep breath, stood up from his chair, and got down on one knee in front of Electra. The restaurant fell silent. Electra's eyes widened in surprise as Will pulled out the ring and held it up. Electra, Will began, his voice steady despite the nerves. From the moment I met you, I knew you were someone special. You've made my life better in every way, and I can't imagine a future without you in it. I love you more than words can express, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Electra's eyes filled with tears as she stared at Will, her heart racing. The restaurant patrons watched with bated breath, waiting for her response. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then Electra smiled, tears streaming down her face as she nodded. Yes, Will, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Yes, I'll marry you. The restaurant erupted in applause as Will slipped the ring onto Electra's finger and stood to embrace her. They kissed, lost in the moment, as the world around them faded away. A storm on the horizon. Back at Forrester Creations, Steffi sat alone in her office, replaying the confrontation with Carter in her mind. His words had struck a nerve, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she had pushed away someone who truly cared about her. For the first time in a long time, she felt the weight of her loneliness pressing down on her. As she stared out the window, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Finn. Her heart skipped a beat as she read his words, but the message wasn't what she had expected. I'm coming back to Lay, it read. We need to talk. Steffi's heart raced as she realized that her stormy life was far from over. With Finn's return on the horizon and her relationship with Carter hanging by a thread, she was once again caught in a whirlwind of emotions. What would happen next? Only time would tell.